And let's get started. So we're gonna use the OOV. We're gonna use our little weights. We're gonna use the ball and the band. So kind of have all this stuff ready. Yeah. Cool. There we go. Awesome. So we're gonna start lying down or have a seat at the front of the OOV. Have the weights ready, have the ball by your side if you have it. You don't have to have any of the equipment. You can totally do this just without anything too. But let's lie down on the back. And just kind of take a breath in. Arms go on the outside of the ribs. Let's take a couple of deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you take a breath in, think about your ribs expanding outward. And then as you exhale, think about the ribs pulling in. Relaxing through the shoulders. And then grabbing the weights if you have them handy or just reaching towards the ceiling. Each arm kind of facing towards each other. You're gonna take a breath in and start slowly reaching arms overhead. Try to keep your elbows nice and straight. You're nodding your chin, you're pulling your ribs down as the arm reach overhead. So it's a lat stretch. And then exhale, come back in. So inhale, reaching overhead, nodding the chin. And exhale, slowly coming back in. Inhale over. Exhale back. 3 more times. Breathe in. Exhale, coming back. Good. Now, as you reach overhead, think about keeping shoulders away from ears and a little bit towards the OOV. So you kind of feel the lengthening through the lats, but also feeling the stretch in the back of the neck as the weight of the arms, especially the weights, everything kind of reaches overhead. On the next breath, we're going to reach over and hold our hands there. So they're just 2 inches off the floor, holding the weights, reaching over, nodding the chin, and just breathing into that tension. Feet are nice and heavy, pressing firmly into the floor. One more breath here. And then exhale as the arms come back. Now let the arms go out to the side. Breathe in, open wide. And exhale, come back in. 3 more. As the arms go out to the side, think of widening away, shoulders away from ears. And then slowly coming back. And open. Exhale in. And last one here, we're going to open and hold. Let one arm come up and back out to the side. And the other. Trying to be as stable as you can. Hips are nice and heavy on the OOV. Inhale up. Exhale out. And up. And out. Good. Last one here. Both arms are going to come all the way up. Excellent. Now let's hold our hands there and slowly start bringing one leg up into the tabletop. Find your balance. Hold it. And then lower that leg down. And we're going to switch to the other side. So let's just go into this little marches. One leg lifts up, slowly lowers back down, and the other. So keep alternating at your own pace, focusing on control on the OOV, but at the same time, keep breathing. Over, good. Let's do one more time, side to side. There's always a side that's more challenging. And with the next breath, bring one leg up and stay there. Let's lower both arms down. Now, whichever leg is up, we're gonna lift the opposite arm up to the ceiling. So now we have opposite arm, opposite leg, holding the weight. Now let that leg extend long as the arm moves overhead. Hold this position. We're gonna start moving leg out to the side and arm out to the side, and then coming back into center. So let's do about 5 of those. Inhale out, exhale in. The focus is the stability and the balance. The further out you move, the harder it's going to be. So just choose where you're at this morning. And then coming back. And now we're going to bring that knee up, bring your arm up towards each other, and extend out for 5. To make this more challenging, the arm that's on the floor, maybe you just lift that elbow off a little bit. Maybe it's just to the hover. Or maybe keeping it on the floor is already hard enough. Just stay there. Good, last one. And bring it in. Lower the elbow down. Let's lower the leg down and switch sides. So the other hip lifts up into the tabletop. Find your balance, stability there. Let's lift opposite arm up to the ceiling. Excellent. From here, we're going to extend the arm out, extend the leg out long. Hold that extension and start moving leg out to the side as arm moves out to the side and comes back in. Inhale out, exhale in. The further you go, the more you're going to challenge that rotational control of the torso. The foot that's on the ground is firmly pressing into the floor through all the toes, through the heel. Good. Last one here. And coming back. Now let's bring the leg in. Let's bring the arm in. And then start moving in opposition. Leg extends out as you reach your arm over. And then back. See if you can hover the opposite elbow off the floor. Maybe it just has a little bit less weight. And focus on turning your arm inward, kind of spinning that bicep in a little bit. Excellent. One more time. And we're going to bring that leg all the way in. Let's lower both elbows down. Drop the weights. You can keep your arms straight. And we're going to bring both legs into the tabletop. So definitely have arm support here. A little bit towards imprinted pelvis, imprinted spine, pulling abdominals in. Let's lift both legs straight up to the ceiling. Toes are pointed. We're going to let one leg lower down as the other lifts up, kind of like a scissor motion. And we're going to add a little pulses. So 1, 2, inhale, legs join. Exhale, we pulse. 2, inhale up. And pulse. Inhale up. Exhale, pulse. 2, and lift. Keep going. As you're pulsing, focus on feeling abdominals, doing all the work in terms of pelvic stability. You're definitely lengthening through that hamstring actively, working through the hip flexor to pull that hip up, trying to keep the knee as straight as you can. But even if they're bent, totally fine. Arms just there for support. Trying to use them as little as you need to. 2 more pulses. And bring the legs all the way in. Let's bend the knees and we're gonna come off the OOV. Roll over to the side, all the way. And we're gonna go into our seated series. So we're gonna flip it over and have a seat in the saddle. Now this is the time, if you have the band, let's use the band. So we're gonna put the band above the knees, if you have it. If you don't have it, totally fine. And just kind of find yourself nice and comfortable in the saddle, halfway in between. We're gonna first start with a couple of half rollbacks, just mobilizing our lumbar spine. So you're starting seated as tall as you can. The OOV is in, kind of like between the sit bones, basically. We're gonna breathe in. As we exhale, using abdominals, start rolling back. So it's like you're trying to imprint your lumbar spine into the OOV. Arms will stay connected, chin tuck, stay there. And then exhale, come back up. So the band is pressing outward gently, breathe in at the top, and exhale, we roll back. Beautiful. Inhale, stay and hold. And exhale, pull the ribs in, rolling back up. 3 more. Kind of going at this rate, rolling back, imprinting lower back into the OOV. Staying there, feeling that connection. And then exhale, rolling back up. Very gentle, very deliberate movement with the lumbar spine. Exhaling. Inhale, stay and hold. And rolling back up. Excellent. Now we're going to go back into that half roll back. We're going to push our right knee out to the side as the left arm moves out to the side and comes back. And then they alternate the other side and comes back in. So opposite knee, opposite arm move away from each other. Keep going at this rate. We're holding that C curve contraction with our abdominals. To make it harder, you can add weights into the arms. And in. Good, keep breathing. Going, our goal is time here. Time under tension for the abdominals, working on that isometric contraction and endurance. Last one, side to side. And in, and out. Come back in, exhale, flex back over. Well done, that was hard. Let's straighten the legs. Toes are pulled in, still holding the band so that you're nice and connected. Grab the weights if you have them handy. We're gonna go into the roll downs from here. Take a breath in at the top. Exhale, we're starting to roll back. Inhale, arms reach overhead. And let's just pause in this full extension for a second. Take a breath in, first extension of the morning. Assess where the OOV is in your back. If it's too low, maybe when you come back up, scoot a little bit down on the saddle. You kind of want it to be over the upper back. So upper thoracic extension is really the goal here. We're gonna start lifting our arms up, not in the chin, lifting the head, peeling ourselves off, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way until we're seated. And then from that neutral, let's hinge forward and reach towards the toes. Back into the neutral spine, maybe scoot forward on the OOV. And exhale, start rolling back. Taking your time. Inhale, arms come over. Chin is tucked, allowing the head to drop. Elbows are straight, pointing towards each other. Maybe even try to rotate your palms so that they lead towards the floor. It's a big ask for the lats. Our lats are internal rotators. So the more your external rotators, the humeri, the more you're gonna feel stretch in the lats. And then breathe in as the arms lift up, nod the chin, lift the head. and rolling all the way over. Coming to the top and then hinging, reaching towards the toes. We're gonna do 2 more, but we're gonna switch our arms position. So now when we roll down, arms will reach out to the side and circle up and over. So you end up in that same position through a different rotation. Take your breath in at the top. And on the way back, the same way. Arms will start reaching out to the sides as you nod the chin, lift the head, and pulling your ribs in. Come all the way up and hinge. Last roll down here, back to neutral. Exhale, tailbone rolls back, arms open out to the sides. Reaching out and up into that full extension. Let the arms rest, maybe palms are up if you can, or your thumbs are down to the floor. Take another deep breath in, push the legs out against the band, and then let the arms circle out to the side, nod the chin, lift up, and come all the way forward. Well done. Let's drop the weights. Legs will stay straight. We're gonna do 1 more half roll back. Take a breath in, and then exhale halfway there. Imprint into the OOV. Good. Now let's stay there for a second. Arms are gonna go behind the head if you can. And we're gonna do little obliques here. We're gonna take a breath in to prepare. Exhale, we're gonna twist to the left and roll back up into neutral. And then roll back down and rotate to the center. So let's work just to that one side, to the left. So we're imprinted into the OOV. We're gonna rotate towards the left, gonna pull in that opposite rib to the opposite hip, and then rolling back up into neutral. And then we're staying twisted as we're starting to roll back. And then we rotate forward. 3 more. Rotate towards that side and come up into neutral. Nice long spine. And then start rolling back down. And back to center, beautiful. And 2 more. Now, as you keep working towards that side, notice what's happening with the hips. So the legs will move forward and back. You just don't want to feel like one side is moving more than the other. So that's where the band comes in. It brings a little bit more awareness. You're pressing outward against that band. And when you're rotating towards that side, you want to make sure that hip doesn't shift. And let's go back down, and we're gonna switch sides. So we're pulling in, we're a little bit imprinted, we're gonna go to the other side. Breathe in, exhale. Rotate to the other side, you're coming up all the way tall, and then start rolling back down. And de-rotate. So first we twist, and then lift up, both legs move forward as we're back up into neutral, and then exhale, pulling through, and back to center. 3 more. Should feel, hopefully, a lot of abdominals, a lot of obliques. Push the head into the arms, so you're pressing back into your hands, and then rotating back and forward. And last 2. Twist and lengthen up. And back towards the OOV. And last one. So we rotate, pulling that opposite rib to the opposite hip as we're coming up into that lengthened spine position. And then coming back to the center, de-rotate, and the last extension. Allow abdominals to relax, reaching arms all the way forward. Taking another deep breath in. And exhale, we're gonna come all the way up. Well done. We're gonna go into our sideline rotations. So OOV will go lengthwise. The waistline will go into the saddle. Now use the band if you have it. It's gonna be in the same position, just above the knees. If you don't have the band, that's totally fine. You can use yoga block or a ball. You between the knees, essentially. And I'll show that as well. So let's lie down onto the side. Arm can go kind of behind the head. So if you have the band, you're gonna push the top leg back, so it's gonna stay nice and straight, and the bottom leg is forward. So you just have a little bit of that connection here. And I think it's nice because then you can kind of feel where your hips are. If you don't have the band and you have the yoga block, you can just put both knees here and just squeeze the yoga block as well. Now have the weight handy, up to 3 pounds. Once everyone is in a good position, we're gonna press out the bottom knees forward. We're gonna take the weight, the front arm will reach forward, breathe in. And then start lifting that arm up. We're gonna start rotating back. Exhale as you twist back. Feel the OOV, lower back will rest on the OOV. You're gonna rotate all the way back. Take a breath in there. And then start slowly coming back in. We'll do 2 more rotations here. So first arm lifts up, and then allow your thoracic spine, allow the head, neck, and shoulders to open back into that extension. Allowing the ribs to open back. And then slowly coming back up. So the arm is just there almost as a weight, but you don't want to use it as a momentum to get you there. You really want to allow the ribs to open. Think about moving the ribs back as the weight of the arm pushes them down towards the floor. Let your head rotate back. Feel the band, feel the legs pressed against the band, but they're not moving forward or back. Take a breath in. And then exhale as we return. Excellent. Now we're gonna lift that arm up towards the ceiling. If you have the weight, great. So we're kind of nice lined up here. And then let's think about reaching the shoulder blade up towards the ceiling. So we're protracting our scapula and then retract your scapula here. So you're not gonna see my arm move very much, but you're thinking about gliding the shoulder blade away from the spine and towards the spine. We're gonna do this rotator cuff reset. It's a very subtle movement. Think about arm bone sort of sinking deep into the socket as the shoulder blade moves towards the spine. Now let's find halfway in between points, so kind of like that neutral position. Now we're gonna elevate, so we're gonna shrug that shoulder and then depress, move it down towards the hip. So it elevates and depresses. It moves up towards the ear and then down towards the hip. It's kind of an interesting way to move the shoulder because the arm is reaching up to the ceiling. We have gravity helping us keep that congruency in the shoulder joint as we're moving shoulder blade in different planes of motion. Last one here. Now we're gonna find our in-between position, hold shoulder blade there. And now we're gonna start moving the arm bone. The shoulder blade will stay stable, relatively. We're gonna let our arm come forward to about parallel to the floor. Then start moving that arm overhead. Back behind us, it will rotate, come up to the ceiling, go all the way down towards the hip and back to the parallel position. So we'll do 3 times each direction. So rotate to what feels good to you. I'm definitely hypermobile in my shoulders, so my shoulder kind of moves all over the place, moves a lot. It doesn't mean that this is normal for you. Just move to what feels pain-free and feels good. And then move the other way. Move down and back. Now you might feel some crackling somewhere in the range. See if you can change your shoulder blade position to eliminate it or decrease it. You want to focus on not letting your neck take over and really feel the work around that shoulder blade. And then last one is we come all the way forward and relax that hand down. Let's come up and we're going to do this on the other side. So Jean here, I know that you have a shoulder that doesn't move quite well. So these actually might be really good mobility exercises for you, just starting really slow. So let's lengthen that leg all the way back, nice and straight. If you have the band, kind of find your connection. You want to be all the way lined up, ooze in the waistline, ensuring that our pelvis is neutral. We're going to start with the top arm reaching up. Inhale, and then exhale as we're starting to rotate back. Take a breath in at the end range of that rotation. And then exhale as we're slowly coming back forward. Now, keeping the top leg straight in this position, it allows the hip to move a little bit more. So let it happen. Let your pelvis kind of move with the thoracic spine. Inhale there. And exhale as we're coming back. Inhale, lift the arm. Exhale as we rotate. Take a breath in there. Slowly coming back. Last one, twist. Exhale, rotate back. Inhale at the end range. And slowly coming back forward. Now we're going to do our shoulder reset. So the arm will reach up towards the ceiling. So you're lining yourself up. Let's start protracting that scapula as you reach up and then retracting as you're pulling it towards the spine. Notice if you have any nerve tension. Sometimes you might notice in this position, if you have tightness through the front of the shoulder, through the pecs, through the brachial plexus, you might feel some tingling even happening as you kind of reach up. If it's just small amount, that's okay. It's actually good for the flossing of the nerves to decrease tension. Now let's make it our last one in this range and then find that halfway in between position. And then let's elevate or shrug and then depress that shoulder. Hello, kitty. I love seeing all the home animals. Good. So as you elevate, the arm will kind of move. Think about bringing that shoulder up to the ear and then down towards the hip. So we're also working on disassociating that scapular movement from the rest of the body. It's kind of like our pelvis for our hips is the shoulder blade for the shoulder. Should be able to move and glide in all the different directions with control. Last one. Now we're coming up to the center. Now we're going to hold it in the center. And we're going to let that arm come forward parallel to the floor. Now let's start reaching it slowly up towards the ceiling. And then it's going to start twisting, palm up as it goes back as far as you can. And towards the hip, it's going to start rotating down again. So the palm is down as we reach overhead. When we reach back, naturally our palm is up. And then it starts rotating down as that shoulder comes towards the hip. Last one. So we need to have this external rotation in order to fully reach overhead without any impingement, any shoulder issues. And then we're going to start reversing it. So start moving it down towards the hip. Externally rotate as it starts coming back up. And then internally rotate as we go forward. Keep going. Because most, if we don't do Pilates and the OOV and all the other things, and we kind of tend to, our life generally is forward with the palms are down. And so we don't really reach overhead unless you work out or your job requires you to do so. And so we lose that spin, that external rotation spin of the arm bone. At least that's what I see in the clinic with folks that come in with impingement or rotator cuff issues. And then coming back forward. Excellent. Well done. Let's come back up. We're gonna get rid of the band, and our next series that we're gonna do is going to be on the stomach. So we're gonna go into our prone series. Now, we're gonna use the OOV today upside down. So this is one way to do it. If you have balance sit, you can also use balance sit if the OOV is too much for you. So if you have the balance sit, you're gonna use it to wear this way. So the pelvic bones will go on each side of the balance sit. I will use OOV this morning, but the balance sit just essentially is gonna go right underneath the pelvis. This part will go right in the kind of the sternum area. So we're gonna go onto the stomach over the OOV or the balance sit, and just kind of start out with arms reaching forward. I like to keep my legs a little bit externally rotated, so heels together, toes apart, pubic bone pressing down to lock the pelvis, and then allow upper body to fold over. And we're gonna start with breathing. In this position over the OOV, it really forces you to breathe into the back of the ribs. It's a great way to mobilize that rib cage, to work on strengthening the diaphragm in a way. So take a breath in, abdominals are pushing into the OOV. And then exhale. If you have balance sit, it's a great way also to just feel your pelvis starting to release. Now with the next breath, we're gonna start moving into our breaststroke preps. So we're gonna take a breath in, nod the chin, arms will stay down. We're gonna start slowly lifting up into the extended spine here. So let's pause here for a second. So arms are down. The breastbone, the ribs will stay on the OOV. So I don't want you to come all the way up to where your ribs lift. You're gonna only come up as high as your ribs are in contact with that upper part of the OOV. Legs can go wider, a little bit narrow. You can kind of choose what feels good. Now we're gonna stay in this extended posture. Nice long neck, not the chin, arms are forward. Now let's start going into arm lifts. We're gonna bring one arm up, and then let's do that external rotation spin where the thumb is reaching up towards the ceiling as we lift that arm up all the way towards the ear, and then lower it back down and place it on the floor. Let's go to the other side. Rotate, thumb is lifting up towards the ceiling, and then lowering all the way back down. 3 more on each side. So I had to do that shoulder reset so that hopefully as we work in this plane, which is quite difficult with the shoulders, you can kind of feel that scapula staying on the back of the ribs. It's not elevating, it's just rotating, but without that elevation. Another big part of the shoulder is we want to have that posterior tip or the back tip of the shoulder blade. So if we had a cup of water in the arm and we're gonna lift that water up, we're gonna focus on spilling that water back. And that's kind of what happens to the shoulder blade. It should tip back. And that's where you should feel that work in the bottom part of the shoulder blade. One more time, side to side. And then allow your body to flex forward. Let's take a breath in here again. We're gonna do 2 more sets of different variations of arm movements. So take a breath in. As you exhale, let's lift up again into that extended spine just a little bit. Nice long neck. Now we're only going to go into the neck movement. So I want you to nod the chin and look all the way down. Arms are staying, supporting our upper body. And then keep that chin tuck as you're starting to articulate back, stacking your spine from those lower segments and then releasing it at the very top. Again, we're going to start with the chin tuck first. Nod the chin, move our head all the way down. And then start articulating back up, keeping the chin tuck and releasing it at the top. 2 more sets of those. The goal here is that segmental articulation. So as we nod the chin, reflexing from C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way. And then keeping that upper cervical flex, we're starting to restack from the bottom cervical. And then releasing the chin tuck at the very top. Let's come back to neutral and allow our body to flex forward. Last one here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, we'll lift up again. Maintain this position. Let's lift both arms up. Lined up with the ears. Palms are down. And we're going to go into the swimming. So little movements. We're going to breathe in for 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale 2, 3, 4, and 5. And inhale 2, 3, 4, and 5, and exhale 2, 3, 4, and 5. Keep going. Connect with your shoulder blades. Make sure they're away from the ears. They're just stabilized on our thorax in that upward rotation. Lots of postural muscles here. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Last set. And then inhale, hold, and then exhale, lower everything back down. Let's press up from the OOV or the balance sit. Take a deep breath into the nice shell stretch. Let your forehead rest on the OOV here. All of a sudden, it feels like you can finally take a deep breath in. No more pressure. And just breathe. Turn your head side to side. And we're going to go from here onto our quadruped serious work. So 2 options. We're going to use the OOV or the balance sit, but the knee is going to go into one or the other. You have balance sit, the knee is just going to go right on the inside of it. You have the OOV, the bigger fat part is going to go out to the side. So I'm going to put my right knee in. So the smaller part is going towards the other side. So it's just on the inside. So see what feels good for you this morning. It's going to feel different in terms of the challenge. With the OOV, there's going to be a lot of challenge front to back. So we're going to push our arms firmly into the floor. Toes are curled under. And you want to find yourself in the position where your shoulders are right underneath the arms, knees are right underneath the hips. And then the hip that's not on the OOV is going to lift up. So that knee will lift off the floor. Our goal is to really work through the neutral spine and to stabilize our spine here. This is really hard work. We're going to breathe in and start extending the leg that's not on any devices long. Heel is reaching back, toes curled in. You're holding it nice and long. Take a second, figure out where your pelvis is, and just sort of find that nice control. Chin is tucked, the back of the neck reaching up to the ceiling. Now we're going to start moving through that hip. So we're going to take that hip out to the side, just like we did supine on the OOV, and then let it go across the body in. It's staying parallel to the floor. But we're just moving it side to side. And we're kind of controlling that motion and feeling abdominals, hopefully, not lower back. Definitely feeling the shoulders. Definitely feeling the hip that's on the OOV. That glute hopefully is working. We'll have last one here. and across the body. Now let's find that nice long line. Keep holding it there. Let's reach our opposite arm forward with thumb up, so that external spin of the humerus. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the hip. We're gonna add the arm to it. So as the hip moves out to the side, arm moves out to the side in opposition. And then the hip moves in and arm moves in. You can let it cross the midline if it feels good on your shoulder. And in. 3 more. And 2. And last one here. Let's lower the arm down and lower that hip all the way down. Sit back towards the shell stretch, and we're gonna switch sides. Now, if that didn't feel hard enough, there's ways to make it harder. So the knee goes inside the saddle on that side. Arms nicely lined up. So to make it harder, the knee that's on the OOV or the balance set, you're just gonna lift that ankle off of it. So the foot won't be in contact with the floor anymore. So the opposite leg, we're gonna extend it long, reaching through the heel, finding that good stability, good control. Sometimes the compensation, the hip can rotate out, so you wanna get your pelvis down so it's parallel to the floor. Reach firmly through the heel. Find that balance and stability. Good. Now let's start moving that hip side to side. So we're keeping it parallel. Flexing through the ankle. And we're just moving through abduction and adduction from the femur. The pelvis will move a little bit here. You want to keep pressing into the shoulder blades away from the spine. Arms are firmly pushing into the floor. Connect with the toe that's on the floor. You can certainly lift it up. If you want more work. Last one here. Now let's find a long line through the hip. We're gonna start lifting our opposite hand. So allow that external rotation to happen. And then you're gonna reach it all the way up. And then we're gonna start moving in opposition. Arm out to the side, leg out to the side, arm in, hip in. Excellent. And out. We have 3 left. Moving slow. Elbow stays straight, don't let it bend. Notice where your shoulder blade isn't. Don't let it kind of shrug up. And then come back to the center. Let's lower the arm, lower the leg, and sit all the way back. Well done. For one more shell stretch. Good. We're gonna go into our plank series next. So we're gonna use OOV for the plank. The forearms will be on the kind of a fat part of the OOV. Now you're gonna grab this saddle, sort of like a choking kind of a position here. We're gonna start with level 1, and then we're gonna progress to different levels, and depending on where you're at this morning. So level 1 is you're gonna bring your knees back, and you're just gonna be in this kneeling plank. Elbows are pushing down into the OOV, you're pulling up. This is a lot of shoulder work. So this is that serratus anterior. You wanna press firmly into the OOV, let your shoulder blades slide apart. Abdominals pulled in, you can be a little bit rounded, a little bit higher. Feet can stay down or flexed. But just from here, holding this plank is already a lot of work. So we're just gonna stay in the plank a little bit this morning. Now level 2, we can let one knee go straight, and you're just gonna hold it, and then bring that leg down, and then let the other knee straighten. And hold a couple of seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, and then bring it down. So we're just gonna alternate here, starting to move into the full plank, but not quite. It's already a lot of work. You don't wanna feel your lower back, that's the most important thing. You don't wanna feel like it's all shoulders and neck. Let's do 10 more seconds, alternating here, back and forth. And last one. And then come back all the way in and reset. We're gonna do one more set. So if that level 2 was hard enough, stay with level 2 because it is really challenging. But we're gonna go into level 3 where we're coming into the full plank. So here we go. Forearms are pushing onto the OOV. We're gonna pull up. And then we're gonna go into that full plank. Now, the more narrow you are, the harder it is. The wider you are, the easier it will be. Just kind of a higher, bigger base of support. And we're gonna hold it here. Now, if this isn't hard enough, we're gonna start adding little knee bends. One knee pushes down and comes back up. And then the other knee goes down and comes back up. So now we're starting to add some instability to the lower body. Exhale out. Keep going, keep breathing, either holding it or adding knee bends. Pressing firmly into the OOV. Almost there. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back all the way in. Let's go into one more shell stretch. Excellent. Now we're going to come up into a little bit of a lunge series here, and then we'll be finishing up with the lunge series. So with the OOV, we're going to use this. The knee is going to go inside the saddle, and the shin is just sort of resting on the OOV. So when I kind of get into it, my foot is off. My knee is on the OOV here. And then I'm going to come up into my full lunge position. The front leg, you want to keep that knee right underneath the heel, or the heel right underneath the knee. And so just by design in this lunge position, you should already kind of feel the front of the hip stretching. Now I want you just to tuck your tailbone under. So you're going to really posteriorly tilt through the pelvis. After we did that, now we're going to push our shin down into the OOV. So we're activating that quad. It's fully active opening and stretch through the quad. There is nothing passive about any of the postures that we do, which what makes it so, I think, effective in terms of lengthening. So as you're pressing down into the OOV, we're activating that quad and then release that pressure, and we're just going to gently hinge forward. So we come back, push down into the OOV. It's almost like we're lifting our torso up. We release that pressure, and then we gently hinge forward. Let's do 3 more times. Pressing down, release, hinging forward, and back. Not all the way, not full range. Pressing down, release, and then hinging forward and back. Last one here. Excellent. Now maintaining this position, can we kind of find balance here? Lift our heel up of the front leg and then lower back down. We do about 8 of those, lifting the front heel up and lower back down. Pushing into that big toe as we're balancing on that hip that's on the OOV. So it's great work for the OOV hip in terms of stability side to side. We have 4 left. And by lifting the heel, we're really transferring weight. Now notice what's happening with that ankle. You want to push up into the big toe. Don't let it roll outside. And then bring it back. Good. Our last thing here, I know that quad is burning. Arms are going to go across in the front. Call this genie arms. And we're going to rotate across the bent knee. So you're going to twist to the side across the hip that's flexed forward. As far as you can, so that goes that thoracic rotation. Let everything rotate. Now in that rotated posture, we're going to open arms out to a Y. Bring them back to junior arms and come back to center. 2 more times. Inhale, we rotate. Exhale, arms open. Arms come back in and back to center. Last one. Rotate. Open the arms. Arms come back. And then we come back to center. Let's lower slowly out of that posture. Sit back. And let's switch sides. So, OOV goes underneath the other knee. It's a lot of knee compression on the kneecap. This is where the balance sit would probably be more forgiving. So finding that nice soft saddle, the other leg comes forward. Finding a good stability first. Just kind of finding your hips stacked. The other leg is in front. Okay. The first thing, we're gonna gently tuck our pelvis under. So we're going from anterior to posterior pelvic tilt here. The front knee is forward. We found our good posture here. Now we're gonna push our shin down into the OOV. So as I push my shin down, it's almost like I can lift up a little bit. And hopefully, if it hurts, don't do it, because it is a lot of compression in the kneecap. But then you release and hinge forward a little bit. Just a small amount. So we press down, release, and then as you hinge forward, really you're feeling the front of this hip. It's hopefully the hip flexor, the psoas, the top part of the quad, opening up, and then relax. Pushing the chin down, release, gently hinge forward and back. 2 more. Press down, release, hinge forward and back, and last one here. And then we're coming back. Excellent. Now, from here, we're going to start lifting our heel up and then lower back down. As you lift the heel up, you're pushing into the big toe, big time, and you want to make sure that knee doesn't move side to side. So the knee is staying right over that big toe. And really, we're balancing on the knee that's on the OOV. And we're going to do about 8 of those. Starting to turn on, activate our soleus. There's some hamstring work going on in that front leg too, just to stabilize you here. Last 2. And last one. Good. Now we're going to our junior arms. We're going to rotate across that front hip as far as you can. So you're twisting for the upper torso, not letting that knee rotate. And then once you're at the end range, arms are going to open wide. And then come back to the center. And then we do rotate. 2 more here. Breathe in as we twist. Exhale, arms open. Inhale, arms close. And coming back to center. And again, rotate. The open and close of the arms is really to challenge our balance, because we're increasing our base of support. We're kind of reaching out the lever arm and then coming back to the center. Arms come forward, and we're going to slowly step off the OOV. Let's finish with our final stance on top of the OOV. So we're going to keep it this way. We're going to stand on top of it. It doesn't matter which way it's facing, front or back. I'm just going to get my computer here. Yeah. So to get on it, maybe have the wall. Always helps. But kind of just get to the top. And here we're going to focus a little bit again on ankle disassociation. So we should be able to push it forward, bring our ankles back, kind of control that dorsiflexion and plantarflexion movement. Knees are straight. We're just over the OOV. We're getting ready for the day. Think about pushing into that big toe. That one looks pretty good. And now let's find our balance in between. And we're gonna just kind of go into a little bit of a running here. So we're gonna bend one knee, push into the other knee. It's like your heel is lifting a little bit off the OOV, and then push that leg down and let the other knee bend. So it's just like you're prancing from side to side, pushing into that foam. It should give in. Good, and then let's come back to the center. Legs are nice and straight, knees aren't blocked, just a little bit. And we're gonna go into 3 squats, and then we'll be done. So we're gonna start bending the knees, bending the hips, arms reach forward, maybe out to the side. Go as low as you can without falling off. And then slowly come back up. Think about tall posture. So not the chin, the crown of the head is reaching up towards the ceiling, even though we're bending the knees and the hips and the ankles to get low. Maybe you can go all the way down and then coming back up. And a final squat. Use the arms to help stabilize. And then slowly coming all the way back up. And step on down. I will stop the recording